How are you doing? I'm Martin from Gardens for Life and Birdland Homestead. In this video we're just going to collect a few bits and pieces. I've got a little list here, and if you'd like to come along, you're very welcome to. So I'm going to just strap you to my chest rig, and then you can see what I'm collecting here in the garden. Let's take a look and see what we need to get. Well, don't mind me handwriting, this was just done in the greenhouse, real quick. Okay, well actually, one thing we need to get anyway is some willows. Look at the amount of wood you get off one of these trees. It's just amazing. What I do is, all the small little very thin ones, I discard them, like these kind of ones here. Oh, we're going to do that a little bit later in the year. See, these kind of, that size, they're just too thin to push into the ground, so they'll just bend. So what I do is I just harvest the ones that are actually just about the right thickness. The ideal thickness is somewhere around that. Any of these ones here, we harvest them, the medium sized ones, and those go out to you guys when you order them. And look how quick it is to harvest that many willows. And you would, if you have enough of them grown, you can use those as kindling, as long as you dry them for about half a year first. You get quite a lot of wood from one tree. You can see all the super thick ones here. See this thickness of ones, for example. And look, they are quite big, and those will be used either to plant again or to use as stick wood for lighting the fire next winter. They're ideal for that, in case we can't get access to pallet wood anymore. It looks like it's getting harder and harder to get pallets now. We used to always get them from builders' yards, for example, or in various different places. But now they're much harder to come by. They're not actually even for sale on Done Deal anymore, or adverts. At least I haven't found them lately. I wouldn't even mind paying for the pallets, as long as I get plenty of kindling out of it. But if we can use wood, all the better. And be careful not to step in me garlic down here. This is just at the edge of the shelter belt, which protects our garden beds here from the wind. And it certainly is quite windy today. There we go. Look at that. It's pretty nice. And that's how quickly I get myself a few cuttings like that. These are about 10 feet long, or 3 meters. And we'll cut those up at home. Alright, let's see what else is there on the list. As long as I don't leave the list at home, that's the main thing. We'll get some, let me see here. I'll do some white currants next. Red currants and white currants, they're over here. Oh, these are actually red currants. So I'm going to take some of those. Always leave a few leaf buds at the bottom here. Don't cut it right down to the stem, because you want them to come back again. All these here, bindweed. I don't think it's bindweed now. I think we have some other kind of plants. We do have some mashua growing here too, and usually that becomes fierce stringy, especially towards the end of the season. So how many do I need? One more. I'll take one more. I like to be generous enough with our portions. Nice white currants are here. I wouldn't take them all off the same bush necessarily, but we're going to cut all of these back anyway before spring kicks in fully. Oh, let me do one more. White currants are very precious. Oh, you might ask, how do you tell the difference between all the different currants? Well, the red currant and the black currant all look the same. So what you do is you simply rub it and smell it and see if it smells like black currant, and that's how you know. And if it doesn't smell like black currant, you know it's red currant. With the white currant, it's very different. If, of course, this time of year you don't have leaves, but they look a bit more like sycamore, the leaves of these. But you can see the wood is a bit more brown and a bit more kind of like birch. It's kind of peeling off like that. So, yeah. Let's see. American elder, comfrey, horseradish, a flowering currant, and some Jerusalem artichokes and poplars. We still have a few hybrid poplars left. Let me just show them to you here. We have a look at the shelter belt here. See if we can find a few. Poplars grow just as fast as the willows. They're both hybrids, and they're both very good. Very good for the insects and very good for growing wood and shelter. This is them. You can see here. That's what they look like, and after they grow, they look a bit like that. Kind of like the willows. So I'm just going to take a few of these. Let me see. This one will do. Okay. That's probably enough there. You can see they're also a hardwood, but they do grow very fast, so they're still good for firewood. Very good for firewood. The willows are great for the insects though. In early spring, the poplars don't have any catkins on them, so I'll leave that here. Now, Nina, please don't take me sticks now. You leave them there, okay? Those sticks are not for playing now. Good girl. So here I am in the wood chip island. We do need a fresh layer of wood chips here because you can see they are not in the best condition anymore. They have now turned into compost, which is fine too. It's all fertility. So let me just put on these gloves. Because our wild raspberries, the Birdland variety, is quite prickly. Take a look at this. They're very prickly, alright. Let me just harvest one of these. And yes, it is that easy to harvest raspberry plants when you've got a no-dig garden. Now all I do is I go over to a compost pile, or insect pile I should call them. This is one of them here, and I just cut it off. I try to get it kind of just above one of the leaf nodes. You can see the leaf node here. Can you see that there? There's the leaf node here. So just cut just above that. And then we also separate the roots. This one was 2 plants, so not too bad. Alright, on to the next thing. Need to get some comfrey, and I might have to get a shovel for that. Hang on. So a lot of these kind of plants can grow in crates, and the flowering kern is one of the ones that does really well. And it's just to get them started mainly. So we try and gently pry it up. Now, there you go. And that is a lovely flowering kern plant. It's a pink flowering one. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to make use of this greenhouse properly. Haven't used it much in the last 3 years. Alright, let's find some comfrey. I know there was some over here. We need to move that car of ours because that got stuck. That's just our old car that we used to flatten the grass, but unfortunately it got stuck because it was just raining non-stop for a week. So this is comfrey. It's bucking 14, so it doesn't go to seed, or at least the seeds are not sterile. Sorry, the seeds are sterile, so they will not reproduce. It's a huge plant. See, I've never harvested one of these ones now. Let's see what happens. Usually you get a lot of roots underneath. Oh. See, this is not an old plant. This is only last year's plant. But usually this is only grown from a small little cutting. Like a little bit of a crown division. What I do is, normally I don't take up the whole plant. What I do is I simply take away some of these roots. See that? And you can just cut those up into 1-inch pieces and just grow them. They'll grow into a new plant. You can start them off in trays in the greenhouse early on in the year. Just don't let them dry out. That's the only thing. And then you can plant them out again. These ones are fairly new plants. What I'll do is I'll go looking for an older plant in a minute. And let's see if we can get some more cuttings off it. As you can see here, that's comfrey roots, so you could use that to make salves, but also you can use the leaves in the summertime or during the growing season. And comfrey is a very valuable plant, both medicinally and for the bees and other pollinators. Also, it's a great plant to have in the garden anyway because it's super hardy and you'll have it forever. And if you want to give your friends some cuttings or even grow some plants for your friends, you just take the roots, take some of the roots. And you can also cut those with a secateurs. These gloves are always... I didn't bring my digging gloves. These ones are very hard to take off. Here. Careful not to cut any of the worms. That's the kind of worms we have here. Lots of them. Now you could also divide the crown itself, the very top of it here, and the way you do that is with a sharp spade, and then you can just transplant them again. And each of the cuttings that you take from the top here, there's probably maybe 10 or 15 in it, you can plant them again in your garden and it'll turn into one of these in 1 year. So one crown is going to give you a lot of cuttings, a lot of plants in after the first year. Normally I wouldn't be digging with these kind of gloves because these are extra thick builder's gloves, and I found they're actually the best for handling briars, even gooseberries as well. And I normally wouldn't be digging with them because that makes them all mucky and slippery, and they're really hard to take off once they turn this way. But yeah, I should have brought a second pair of gloves. It's okay though, I don't mind wearing the thicker gloves today because I have a little bit of a wound here on the hand just from a piece of wood. And yeah, let's take some Jerusalem artichoke. These are the Fuzhou variety, the white one. So let me put my gloves on again. Hope you're enjoying this kind of view. Please let me know in the comments below if it's any good. It's kind of hard, I have to adjust the camera sometimes. Like this. Just go to a different spot here. I think I've been digging here before. Let me see. So anywhere really here. Somewhere here. Have I been here before? Yep, I have been here before. Let me see. How about here? Are you here to dig? Are you here to dig? That was a good boy. You alright? They see me digging and they want to start digging too. Even though it's a no-dig garden, I've been having a hard time explaining that to the dogs now. The concept of a no-dig garden means no digging, please. Not very many here in the middle. I have a feeling I've also been here before. I think this is just towards the edge of the garden bed. That's what they look like. That's about all I need anyway. That's plenty. All these cuttings. And our raspberries and flowering currant. I've dug up a full crown here. This is a comfrey crown as well, and yeah, that's going to go as it is. I'm not going to cut that up because somebody was looking for that. There's a lot of comfrey in that. Jeez, that's heavy. Now, let me check the list now. See what else I need to pick up here. Let me just leave this down for a minute. Oh, it looks like just horseradish, a bit of American elder, and gooseberries. So let's go. So normally I wouldn't be using the shovel for digging up horseradish because normally you can grab it as it is. This is a horseradish plant. Take a look. You can see it's already starting to grow here early in the winter, or I should say early in the year. So we have a fruit tree right beside that here. There's actually a pear tree right here. We want to try not to harm the roots of it. And normally I'd be digging them up elsewhere, but unfortunately we've already run out of those nearly. So yeah, horseradish, people always say it spreads in the garden, and I found it doesn't really matter once you plant it among perennials. It doesn't spread that much. I mean, I can easily harvest it back. That said though, it does grow very fast, and it's great because you can grow it again, same as the comfrey. In 1 year you can get a big plant out of a little root cutting, basically an inch of a root cutting. So just to see if I can get in here. This is lasagna garden, so it should be really easy to dig up. And sure enough it is. Even this piece here, that'll be a large piece of root with the crown on top. So it's a crown division. And that's going to grow into a huge plant in 1 year. What we normally do is we get the roots themselves. Take a look here. Hang on. Well, that one is a little tin now. That's a little tin, but let me see if I can find another. Here's a thick one. Look at that one. That's a big one. Oh. So a root like that, I simply cut it up into 1-inch pieces and then I plant it, and you still get a big plant out of it in 1 year. So that's several cuttings there. It must be 10 cuttings in that. And let's keep digging for a minute. Let's see if I can find some more. I always try not to harm too many worms while I'm digging. I mean, digging in itself is very destructive to the soil life. Never mind ploughing a field. That'd be probably the worst thing you can do. The biggest ecological crime of all, after spraying Roundup. Oh, let me see if I can find here. I found another. Look at that one. That's a goji berry popping up into the screen. That's a long root right there. And then you get the crown on top. So I'm going to take that. I never harvest all of it because I want it to grow again next year in the same spot. And sure enough, it does. No bother at all. Let me try and get into this side here. The reason why I'm using a shovel here, even though this was actually still part of the wood chip island here, and it's part of the lasagna garden, which means that it's simply layers of cardboard to smother the grass, and compost layer for fertility, and then a layer of wood chips as a blanket for both not to dry out in the summer and not to get too cold in the winter. There's another one. I'll just plant that one again. I don't think I need that here. The way to plant it is very easy. Take your crown division and just shove it in the ground. Make sure the top is popping up. There you go. And that will definitely grow. See another plant here. It might be one of the newer ones. This comfrey, or this horseradish, has been here for nearly 5 years nearly. I'd say 4 years anyway. Don't keep track of exactly how many years, simply because the growing season doesn't start when the year starts. It's usually a little bit offset. I was thinking in terms of growing seasons instead of years. There's some more. So that's plenty of it now. Oh, let's move on to the American elder and the gooseberries. Now I'll just clean my gloves a little bit and grass, and better put me shovel back in. As you can see here, it's kind of going rotten already. It was left out for a little too long, and hopefully it'll last a lot longer that way. If you take care of your tools, it'll last a lot longer. Now that was actually a sacrificial shovel though, which means that it was a shovel that was used all the way at the other end of the garden, and it's just the kind of shovel when you're only picking up 1 or 2 bits. You don't really want to have to walk all the way to the greenhouse, especially when it's raining. But I wouldn't be out here very often when it's raining. You don't like the rain, do you? You mind the rain? You mind the rain? You too. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Alright, let's go for American elder. This is a comfrey. Oh, sorry. This is only got comfrey in my head now. This is the great mullen. It's going to make a nice flowering stalk this year. Once you get the rosette from last year, it's a biennial. So let me see here. I'm going to take a few of these American elder cuttings. Let's see. Just take 1 or 2 branches for now. It's super valuable wood. I had been looking for American elder for years before. And here in Europe, it's so hard to come by. So we're really happy to make it available to people. It's actually a brilliant plant because it flowers for the whole growing season from midsummer, and that gives you a much longer harvest window. And that also means that the insects will have something to eat for the whole growing season. Even very late into the season, the American elder is the only thing left flowering, probably as late as November, even late November. We've had American elder flowers here, and we had a little bit of mullein left, and the mashuas also start to flower at the end of November, very late in the season. Okay, let's get some gooseberries. For that I have my gloves. Got the American elders now. So each of these little bits can be used to make a cutting too, as long as you root it correctly. But we won't be wasting any wood at all off them. You leave them here for a second. These are definitely prickly. Don't mind all current here. Let's go over this way. The dogs don't seem to mind the all thorny kind of plants around here too much. I thought they might step into the thorns, or even if I cut off some gooseberries and leave them on the ground. I was often worried about that, because if they step in a thorn, obviously they're going to be running like mad. Like they're not going to know what hit them, and I'm not sure how to remove a thorn from a dog that's just running around frantically. So it hasn't happened at all yet, actually, thankfully. Touch wood. Oh, I just need 5, so I'll take 6 here. Ooh, yeah, these even go through the thick gloves too sometimes, if you are not careful with it. Look at the motherwort here. That's grown into a little patch of motherwort. Those plants get about 2 meters tall at the end of summer, and then they go to seed. You can see where the seed pods used to be here. And it all started off as one plant from the very beginning of the bed, and it just turned into a little patch of motherwort over a period of maybe 2 years now, 2.5 seasons. 2.5 years, 3 seasons, I'd say. Okay, you pick these up. Well, that's all we've got to collect now. Well, if you're still watching now, I made a video for you, and thank you very much. And if you want to find out more about our upcoming seed and plant swap here in Roscommon, which is coming up on the 3rd of March. So take a look at the link below. There is an events page on our website. And please give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. And you can also support us on Patreon, on Birdland Homestead, or on our membership page as well, or on our shop for the cuttings, plants and tubers. Thanks a million for your support. I'll see you the next time. Bye bye. Come here. Is that how dogs tease each other? They just bite each other lightly in the tail or in the back legs. Is that how they do it? Is it? You tell me, Levi. He's like a sheep. Look at him. All right. You two, all the attention. Where is all the attention? All right. You weren't jealous that time.